Michelle, who's also only 14 years old, has asked a question: would Hosana mate with his sister Shongila if there were no other leopards available? Now, the answer to that question is yes, and they would. A female leopard will not, if she can possibly, her body won't allow her to go through an estrus cycle if she can find a male, even if that male is a blood relative. And I know that sounds a bit weird, but these leopards' genetic pool is very deep at the moment, and they can withstand a couple of generations of inbreeding. If a population had to get isolated or go down to a few individuals for whatever reason, for disease, for geographic isolation because of some event, a flooding for instance, or volcanic activity or an earthquake, and it's absolutely feasible that leopard would mate with their own blood relatives. What's this leopard stalking her now again? But if and only if are we about to see another hunt. Can you believe it? This is the third hunt of the day from this leopard, and probably the last hour. That very intense stare. And get yourselves ready for the pounce. What are you going to do now? What is it that you've got? Is it going to be third time lucky? Hold thumbs, everyone. You can feel the pressure building. Come on. Are you going to put that foot down? It's balancing just on one leg at the moment, it looks like, eh? Look at the camouflage on the back of that cat. Isn't it just absolutely fantastic? Now, I must tell you that this is happening in the middle of a herd of elephants. We've got elephants surrounding us almost 360 degrees. What are you looking at? And just before the pounce, we're going to see that settling of the hips as the feet get planted. Oh, what's happening? Foot goes down. That relaxed posture. He's been balancing on one front foot the whole time, without even a shudder. Muscle density, roughly 10 times that of a human, and so they've got a lot of muscle packed into that small body. They're capable of carrying their own body weight. There you can see just settling again. You can see those hips. Come on, boy. You can do that. Is he going to go? You can see that settling of the hips. Look at that. Those feet, those back feet, you can see just pawing down on the earth. We're going to watch that piece of grass now erupt into a blur of motion. Come on. Looking down, seeing if he can move. Obviously this prey, whatever it is moving away slightly. Tell him if the space that he's moving into, he can do it. Got a fringe of very sensitive whiskers on his face. Allow him to judge gaps in the undergrowth. And you can see that hips wobbling. That's what I keep on saying. He's on the verge of pouncing. You can see that. There he goes. What are you going to do? Wow, that camouflage is amazing. Edge of the seat stuff, eh? I must say, myself and Senzo are also on the edge of our seat over here, and I think everyone knows. Come on, what are you going to do? Are you going to jump now? Or are you going to try and wedge your way through those sticks and risk exposing yourself? Or are you just going to take a leap of faith and clear those branches in front of you? would be uncommon for this leopard to jump over those bushes unless there was no other avenue left open to it. Generally, they like to keep all four paws on the ground if they possibly can. It also allows them to change direction. Of course, as he breaks cover, whatever was looking at him or whatever he's hunting is also going to make a go for it. I'll be able to jink around. I still can't see what it is. Could be anything from a bird to a snake. Sorry, Louise, just repeat Dina and Bully's question there if you don't mind. Yeah. Buddy, you've just... Excuse me, I didn't hear it first. You're saying, please go and get dinner, Hosana. Go and get it. And it's moved along? Oh, was it a scrub hare? So he was hunting another scrub hare, possibly even the same one that he missed a little bit earlier. He's darted off now. Now, Hosana, this is the third time unlucky, boy. What's going on? I know, you think... You think that he'd have the dignity to flush a slight rosy red now, hey? But he is a youngster, and this is how they learn. He will only get better, can only get better. Okay, he moves out. Obviously likes hunting these scrub hares. Okay, we're going to move forward a little bit to get into a better position so we don't lose him. And while we move position, what we're going to do is go over to the Mara for some potential cheetah cubs in a bush.
Whereabouts?
How can we go?
I don't want to push her as well. I'm going to go a bit along here. Try line up with...
Here we are again, still with the... What are they called again? I nearly call them leopards. They aren't leopards, of course. I was thinking about Hosana. We're still with the lions, but what you can see now is that we have got 3 lionesses, not just 2. The other one came up while you were watching Hosana on his umpteenth attempt at killing something today. And she too has got into the business of suckling. Now she came from down below in a drainage line. I don't know what she was doing down there, possibly just having some lone time, a spa day to herself. But she's back into parenting as we speak, and none of them look particularly well fed, which bodes well for the evening once it gets a little bit darker. Now, I must just tell you that we'll probably not be doing a huge amount of after dark stuff unless we get some really good action, and that's simply because our moonlit or special low light cameras have had to go back home to where they belong. But we certainly, if we're sitting with these cats and they get up and they go on the hunt, we'll follow them for as long as we can. Now, interestingly here, this lioness that is sort of cleaning its cub or its niece or nephew is doing that phlegm and grimace as well. She's also lifting her, every time she sort of gets too close to the rear end, she does the phlegm and grimace, which interprets, well, various things from the, I guess, the genitalia, if you like. And I think it's just a default reaction for interpreting various hormones. So peaceful now, doesn't it? Here comes another one out of the water, folk, coming back towards the melee. Very gentle melee that it is. Put them little playing here. It's just too precious. Almost with no sort of thinking about the consequences of what they're doing. Just falling over each other. Perhaps in the knowledge that they're not big or nasty enough to actually do any real damage just yet. Eating bits of grass, testing little bits now. And I'm sure as the wind starts to blow, I think they're enjoying the warmth coming off this rock. Oh no, that's too sweet. They have the perfect little hidey hole here, safe in the rocks from any other predators, bit of water for them to drink, nice and warm when it gets chilly at night. And of course the warmth of 9 little cubs sitting next to each other and in a sort of carpet must be very special on a cold night. They really do look like teddy bears at this stage of their lives. And unfortunately they do grow up so fast. Steffi, you're wondering how they protect their cubs at night. Well, Steffi, only through either being here or by, fighting off whatever might come this way. But what will happen, Steffi, is that when they go off hunting, the cubs will disappear into the rocks here. And they'll be invisible to anything but but maybe a hyena that came looking. A hyena will be able to smell them, but they'll be in a hole, I suspect, too small for a hyena to get at them. And so they would probably be entirely safe. And so the best protection that can be offered during the night if the lionesses are off hunting is for them to be left alone in the den. I also think, and I have never read this, so I'm not sure, that the fastidious cleaning that you see going on here is a way of making them smell less. So although I'm sure they do have a scent to a sensitive nose like a hyena's, they are not tremendously smelly creatures. Look at this little curious little thing coming up towards us. I think a lot of predators that might otherwise harm the cubs would just walk on by here and not even realize that they were around. They would definitely smell the adults, I suspect. Now, I believe Brent Leo Smith has managed to find some cubs of his own. Whether he has any communication or not is another matter. Let's find out.
This is so very exciting, everyone. This is definitely one of the things I've been looking forward to most in the Masai Mara, and we've been mountaineering, we've been climbing. Now you're going to have to look very, very carefully into the center of the shot, and every now and then you will see some movement. Now there is a female cheetah's tail flicking, but watch carefully. Every now and then you just get the vision of the tiniest tiny cheetah cub. I mean, half the size of a domestic cat. These things are minute, days rather than weeks old, hidden right up against the escarpment. I'm not sure which female this is. Look there, look. There is one. Look how small it is. Oh my goodness. It is just to die for. Those things, they can't even walk. Their eyes are pretty much closed still. These are days old. Manu and I are just too excited. Now, she has chosen the most splendid den site, in my opinion, due to the fact of all the nasty lions and hyenas around, and leopards. She has chosen a spot. Now, Final Control is struggling to see them, but I know you guys can see those tiny little tails whipping. One just climbed over, so you got to look carefully. I mean, these things are tiny. They are minute. These are the smallest cheetah cubs I've ever seen in the wild, put it that way. And I've been living in big 5 game reserves with cheetah since I was 4 years old, and this is the smallest cheetah cub I have ever seen. Now, there's at least 2 that I can see so far. You just got to look very carefully right in the center frame. Well, the one cub moved up towards the left, towards the green bush. There seems to be another one still scrambling around mum. Janet, cuteness and overload indeed, even though we're not getting the best visuals of these cheetah cubs, which is not a bad thing. The fact that this den is so inaccessible to everyone is very, very good. Now I'm going to We'll zoom in again. I'm just going to get Manu to show you how inaccessible this den really is. So as we come wider and wider and wider. Now, to give you an idea where we are, I'm probably a quarter of the way up. I'm very high, and it's still about another 300 or 400 meters all the way down to the flat. Now, we will keep trying to see what happens next with this incredible, it's almost a once-in-a-lifetime sighting. While we do that, we're going to go all the way back to Djuma. Let's have one last quick look. See if we can spot one of those bundles of joy. But as I say, it is a difficult spot. So let's go across to Stef.
Have a look at this special sighting. We've got two rock monitors having a bit of a wrestle. The guy on top now is the male. He's trying to get the female into a position where he can mate with her. She's having none of it. She wants nothing to do with him. And isn't this weird? This is not the same pair that the leopard was hunting just now. This is a different pair, but in exactly the same area. Maybe about 50 yards or so apart. You can see what's happening now is this female's got this male's hips, and so he can't get around. He can't move around her. So he's in a bit of a lock. She's got him subdued. He's looking like he's overpowering her slowly but surely. She's lost her grip of his hips, and what he's trying to do is force her underneath him. She's going to try and get out of the way now. She might spin and try and run for it. Are you trying to bite her leg? What are you doing? That's not the way to treat a lady. She must bite him back. She's in the perfect spot. What are you doing? Well, that's dislocating your girlfriend's hip is not the best way to go about it. Stop that. Steffi, you say it looks complicated. It absolutely is. He obviously isn't the best male around, and this female doesn't want anything to do with him. Or she's playing a little bit of hard to get, which is giving other males in the area the chance to come and usurp this guy. Eventually what will happen is her body will tell her, look, no, what are you doing? That's not the way. Just because you're not getting your way doesn't mean you have to do that. She's giving him she'll give another bigger male the chance to usurp this one. What he needs to do is realize that biting her leg off, no. Come now. He needs to let go of his grip there. She's got out of it. Good. He's trying to hold on desperately. Missed it. Now he'll chase her down. And into that thick bush. Look at the elephant in the background. Sorry, Louise, would you repeat Dino's question, please? Yes, Dino, absolutely. Spring is in there. Yeah, they've come out this side now in front of us. Let's see if the male catches him. Spring is definitely in there. Absolutely, Dino. It looks like this female actually got away. No, he's still in tow. I'll come out of this bush now. There you can see him, tired. Tongue flicking out, looking for her. I think she's made good her escape, actually. Let's see what happens here when he catches up with her. Obviously, she won't be able to get too far. She's leaving a pheromone trail that he can follow using scent. No, he's lost her. He's going around in circles here. Senza's just, Senza can see her. She's playing, she's gotten away. Lost out, my friend. It's because you want to be so abusive, that's why. That is not cool. Oh, excuse my bald head getting in your shot. See, he's almost desperate trying to find her. Look at the way he's flicking his tongue out. He's coming right past the car. Africa's Komodo dragon. Only the water monitor is longer. There she is, somewhere there. And she's just counting her lucky stars at the moment. There he goes. And he's going to backtrack, I think, from the last position. We'll stick with him and see if he manages to re-find her again. Let's see how determined he is. Yeah, he's picking up the scent now. Oh, you can see how almost frantic he is, eh? Becky, you'd like to know if these lizards are poisonous. So they are related to the Komodo dragon, which has a saliva harboring a lot of bacteria. And that saliva, there goes the female there. Come on, get away now. That saliva can convey toxins which will cause septicemia and eventually death in the Komodo dragon. These lizards will give you a nasty bite. They've got these peg-like teeth and can give a nasty bite. And can also infect you with a type of bacteria, but they don't have the same bacteria that lives in the mouth of the Komodo dragon. This will be by chance. In other words, the bite will infect you by chance rather than by design, as it is in the Komodo dragon. So no, these are not venomous. They don't have any venom glands either. They're not like the Gila monster, which has venomous saliva or venom that they produce in their saliva either. So this would just be an infected bite because their mouths are full of nasty bacteria rather than anything else. He is trying his best to get her. She's now walked off completely opposite direction, heading towards some elephant. Let's see if he's on her trail. No, he's lost her. Wow, what a good escape. Look at him. That gait that they have is just so amazing. Like a big bodybuilder, strutting his stuff and flexing his muscles. The reason why they mate now is because it takes almost an entire year for the eggs to incubate. They incubate under the ground and they hatch out a year later when the sun warms up the earth and when water softens the ground that the eggs have been laid in. So they mate now and they'll dig their eggs into the ground when the first rains fall, and then a year later they will then the babies will hatch as soon as the ground gets wet again. Right, we're going to stick around and see if we can pull young Hosana out of the bush over here with the help of Aubrey, and we're going to send you all the way north to Scott, who's looking for some cheetah.
Well, we've temporarily stopped looking for cheetah because it's simply too beautiful not to show you this scene with zebra, wildebeest, one or two Thompson's gazelle dotted on the horizon. Absolutely marvelous. And it's been what sounds like an incredible drive. Some really interesting stuff's happened. And I must say I'm a little bit jealous. Jelly babies of all the things you've seen. Jelly babies are a kind of sweet in South Africa. So yeah, lots of interesting stuff going on, and now a beautiful, beautiful sunset scene. Also to the left, as Craig continues to pan to the left, you'll notice there's some rain falling from those clouds. And that rain is falling in Tanzania, and that is what is drawing these migrating herds back south. There you can see more clearly. So it's easy to understand that they get clear signals from Mother Nature as to where the grass is going to be greener. Look at that beautiful scene there. Marvelous. Now we still have no idea where these 5 male cheetah are that we're looking for. Hopefully they are somewhere in this general area. We've got a hold of as many people as we can to try and work out where they are. Failing that, at least we can head out tomorrow morning with the knowledge that we know where Malaika and her 2 boys are, and hopefully they'll be a little bit more hungry than they were this morning, and we'll be able to see them in action. Let's take another little quick look at these zebra that are against the setting sun now that it's popped below the clouds. How cool is this? And the Masai Mara certainly is one of the greatest wilderness destinations I've ever been, that allows you views like this. There's just unobstructed vistas, often littered with game. And this is just too good to be true. It's a dead still evening. Slight breeze, nice and cool. And a great privilege to be taking you guys out on a live safari and to be able to share moments like this with you. We are going to continue perusing though, in the hope that we are going to find these cheetah. Even though the sun is setting, these 5 males have done a lot of the hunting after dark, so it's not to say we might not still catch them in a fortunate position to see them doing their business. Okay, well, you guys are going to head off back to James to get an update on how those cubs are getting along. See you later.
Well, before we do the cubs, we're going to just have a look at the sun, because it's very, very pretty indeed. Isn't that lovely? It's just disappearing over the horizon. There it is. Gorgeous stuff. Very nice, Fergus. Rain in the background that we have managed to avoid so far. Doesn't that make you feel good about the world? Certainly makes me feel good about the world that I've managed to avoid that rain. And we'll go back to the beautiful cubs. Unfortunately, they're not sitting in a position where we're going to be able to see the sun's rays catching them, unfortunately. There we are. But we're just having a very pleasant afternoon enjoying them. 1 or 2 have found the excesses of the afternoon slightly too exhausting, and they've started to close their eyes and go back to sleep. Mums have also sort of shut their eyes. I predict what is going to happen here is that they will wait for pretty much until it's pitch black before possibly going off on the hunt. But because the cubs are here, you might find they even wait longer than that and don't go on the hunt at all until much later. But we'll wait and see. I think it's much easier. It's been noticeably easier for the 2 lionesses since the 3rd one arrived. They're all sharing the duties now. Also, the cubs are getting a little bit tired, and so they're starting to go to sleep. Look at that. Well, Steffi, you say what you'd give to see this in person. Well, of course, you have the choice to do that in person. If you sell your left kidney or something on the black market, I'm sure you could get enough to come through here. I'm obviously being deeply facetious right now. But yeah, Steffi, it is a bucket list thing for so many people, and many save for years and years to come out on a one-time safari to Africa. Of course, it's not the cheapest holiday you can have, but it is, it is a once-in-a-lifetime experience to come and see something like this live. But you've got the next best thing. You're watching it as it's happening, as it's unfolding right now in the Masai Mara, and of course the hunting going on in the Kruger National Park, all completely live, which means it's just about the same as being here. Not quite, but just about. Roshni says, like somebody put a smile on the cub's face. I must say, I agree with you. I think that the cubs do look a lot more cheerful than their mothers and their aunts. I think than all adults. All the adult lions tend to look a little bit serious about life their mother's tails. You say the world's best toy. Yes, absolutely. They do seem to be the source of the most fascination for all of these youngsters. There it is, with its little pom-pom on the end of it. I loved pom-poms as a kid as well. Now that lioness, once we've looked at the cubs, I think the cubs are a bit more entertaining. I will just tell you that the lioness is, she's not anymore. She was giving that sort of nuzzling of the head to her cohorts, perhaps as if to say, come on chaps, let's go and get some supper. It looks like it's going to get dark fairly soon. This is often a precursor to hunting. But we might just be grateful to sit here with the cubs for a bit longer, because of course as soon as the lionesses disappear, that will be the end of our cub time. Very faintly in the background I can hear the sounds of baby francolins calling their mums. It's a high-pitched whistle. It's so incongruous because they sound nothing like the adults do at all. Anyway, there are our cubs having a good play again. Thoroughly enjoying themselves, almost as much as we're enjoying them. I'm extremely grateful to have found these little things. It's been a very long time since I've spent this amount of time with little lion cubs. Here comes one stalking Fergus to the left. There we are. Then thought better of it. Noticeable difference in size, but I promise you in a few weeks' time you won't be able to know the difference between them. You say, well, they eat meat as well at this stage. The weaning process will start now at about 6 weeks though, so yes, if there is meat around, they will possibly start to eat it. And at 6 weeks, they're old enough to be led to a kill and then led back here. But I think, like I said, I don't think the little ones are that old yet. I think the oldest ones are probably 6 weeks, I did say 8 weeks, maybe up to 8 weeks old. So yes, they would certainly be eating bits and pieces of meat. And then in theory, they should be completely weaned by 6 months. Oh, look at that. Now, before it gets too dark, I'm going to hand you back to Brent and his honey badger cubs. Well, they look like honey badgers, don't they? In the long grass, and hopefully they'll move around a bit as it gets a bit darker.
Well, James is spot on. They have a really pale back that mimics the grass, and that helps with their camouflage. So what we're doing is, what we're going to do, because I know a lot of people are struggling to see them. I've just lost sight of them at the moment. But as soon as they move, we're going to put them... You got them? There we go, bottom right. So we're going to put them right in the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little dark patch there. Now just keep your eyes focused. There we go. See the little cub moving? It's so dark that it hasn't even really got that honey badger white back yet. So, I mean, these, I would say 2, 3, maybe 4 days old. Look at that little tail. Completely black. Oh, he's just crawled into the little thicket. Now, I'm hoping you guys did manage to see that there. So in the bottom right corner, if you scroll back a little bit and look very carefully, there's the most tiny cheetah cub I have ever seen in my life. Now, there's at least 2 that we can make out. Mom is sleeping in there. Now, I'm pretty sure Mom is going to be here for the whole night, and we're not going to hang around too long. We are going to give her the opportunity. Look, oh, there's movement there, bottom right again. It looks like the second cub. So there's at least 2. that we can make out. There we go. Look. Look at that. So tiny. It's so tiny. I would say, half the size of a big domestic cat. Now that's a big, wild African cat that is so small, half the size of a domestic cat. Now, of course, this is the best spot we can see them from. It is an excellent spot that Mom's chosen for a den there. There's actually some rocks and some crevices where the cubs can hide. And there's unlikely that that hyenas and other predators. Oh, there we go, but more movement again. We'll move into this area. Look. Look how small it is. It can barely walk. Look at it. Oh, it fell over. Oh my goodness. Bottom right hand corner, guys, if you're wondering what I'm looking at. There we go. There's another one on the way. Mia from Illinois is wondering, is that site not... it will keep them dry. Most definitely, the rain will tumble through there. And as I said, there's lots of rocks and crevices that they can hide in. Oh my goodness, they are tiny. I think their eyes still might be closed. They're stumbling over. They can't walk. They're groping around by feel. There we go. There's movement again. Look, you can see the white back that James was talking about. The same color as the grass. This is absolutely amazing. Now, I've only ever found cubs younger than this once before in my whole life, and that was, of course, Hosana and Shongile. Oh, look at it. He's crawling back. Or she, I definitely can't tell. They are minute. This is so special. This is something you very, very rarely ever get to experience or see. Often when you find cubs, they're normally a month old and 6 weeks old. But to find them at this age, mere days old. Oh my goodness, that just melts my heart. Well, I'm definitely going to be back here tomorrow morning to check what's happening. But at the moment, as it gets darker, I'm going to leave the cheetah family to be. Hopefully in the bright early morning light, we'll be able to see a little bit more tomorrow. This is just so exciting. But, we leave our little cheetah family. We're going to go across to Scott, who's still in search of 5 much larger, much more fearsome cheetah on the other side of the river.
Well, isn't that such exciting news? I didn't realize there were such tiny cheetah cubs. I got a little bit confused and kind of presumed it was another female cheetah with cubs that are probably about 2 or 3 months old now. So well done to Brent, and such good prospects for the coming days. Hopefully, like Brent says, tomorrow morning he'll be able to track them down for you and get you some better views. I've never seen tiny cheetah cubs like that, so I'm looking forward to seeing what action unfolds there. We have had no major luck or changes in information updates regarding the male cheetah, so we just continue to peruse an area where we could bump into them. I've seen them here before. I've also seen a pride of lion here before, so could bump into either of the two. Actually, on one occasion the lion chased the cheetah. Sadly, it was in a low signal area, so I don't think we could share it with you. It was quite interesting, actually. After the cheetah got the initial frights, when the lion kind of ambushed them, they scattered a little bit. They just lay down and watched the lion from like 30 meters away, because they knew once they had their eyes locked in it, they had nothing to worry about. They backed their speed, so they were kind of almost taunting it, which is quite interesting. So the plan is, just for you guys to know, for the next few days, is that Craig and I will be staying here for 3 nights, this being the first of the 3. So even though we didn't succeed greatly in getting any cheetah action this evening, we still have a few more sleeps in this area. And I guess, as Brent has clearly indicated to you, there's not the only cheetah in the Mara are on this side of the river. There's also a few on the triangle side. And just to give those of you who don't know exactly how the Mara Reserve works, a quick overview. The Mara Triangle is on the western side of the Mara River up to the Olololo Escarpment. The Mara Reserve is on the eastern side of the Mara River up into the surrounding community conservancies that border the kind of north and eastern section of the park. So it's kind of broken up into a few different chunks. Well, this is where often we have spotted some lion, usually just racing past them to get to the cheetah. And last time I saw, they did have a few cubs, so that would be a nice little bonus. Although you guys have already seen some lion cubs with James this afternoon, cheetah cubs with Brent, so lots and lots of action. Leopard with Stef. What an awesome afternoon. Getting 1 or 2 raindrops, but I don't think it's going to cause any trouble. So we should be able to continue unaffected. It's actually quite welcoming having a few cool raindrops hit the flesh. It was incredibly hot when we headed out this afternoon. Hello Ali, you'd like to know if it ever gets very dry in the Mara, and yes, it certainly does. This in theory should be the driest it gets, but I don't think what we are seeing at the moment is normal from year to year. There's been a lot more rain in the last few months than there ordinarily would be at this time of the year. So I think there's a bit more green around than there should be. Having said that, I'm no Mara expert. This is my first few months spent in the area. But yes, it certainly does have its drier times. And you would guess it would be between the long rains and the short rains. The long rains finish in kind of March, April. So May, June, July, August, September, October, kind of 6-7 month dry season. And then the short rains in November should give a little bit of life and longevity just to last until the long rains in March, April. What's interesting is that this side of the reserve alley is quite green at the moment, especially compared to the side of the reserve that Brent's on. And what's also been interesting on top of that is from week to week it does fluctuate from area to area, just depending on the localized rainfall any area may have been lucky enough to get. Come on, lions or cheetah or leopard or anything. That we head out first thing tomorrow morning, a little bit earlier than normal, to try and start foraging for action. And seeing as though James, Brent and Stef are all out, I'm sure they'll be able to continue to show you a good time. So that's also one of my plans, possibly to get an early night. Oh, raindrop just hit me right below the eye, quite a big one. Ding! So those are my plans, and you'll be glad to know, oh, another raindrop just pelted me. Can you see it there? Right below the eye. It was quite a good shot from Mother Nature. You see it? Not really. Not really. Anyway, what you can see now is some tiny, cute little lion cubs under the glow of an infrared light with James.
Well, we're not quite in infrared just yet, but we certainly are going to have to be fairly soon. I'm hoping the rain will avoid us. I did stupidly tempt it by saying earlier, this is the first time we've ever escaped the rain. And I think that, well, the universe is going to spit upon me, literally and, of course, figuratively. As we sit here watching our little lion cubs, everything has calmed down here. Everyone is calm and wanting to have a little bit of a snooze after the excesses of the day. Anyway, we'll see what happens while we sit here. The mother's showing no signs of going hunting at this stage, and I'm quite interested by that. I would have thought by now they would have been showing signs of getting up. We've got quite a full moon tonight, it's about 3/4, and that won't be good for them hunting. They prefer the full darkness. And I haven't seen hide nor hair of anything they could hunt around this area. Also, what's interesting, of course, is that these cubs are so little at the moment that they can't even make that kind of that growling sound that they make. They can only sort of squeak like little birds. Now what we're doing now with it getting this dark is quite special for us because of the IR that we have. Often, in fact normally, we'd have to leave them by now. And then a question from Cheese Potato. Yes, Cheese Potato. Cheese Potato, you want to know if lion cubs will be attacked by other animals? Yes, they'll be killed by hyenas. Leopards would take them. Wild dogs would kill them if they could. Big eagles would take them if they could as well. So absolutely things will try and take a lion cub if they can. So, largely, of course, the predators will do it in order to try and avoid a competition. That lioness is hungry and she spotted something. I cannot see what it is. Maybe she's picked something up on the wind. She's turned her face into the wind. She certainly looks like something is up. That's where she's looking. And of course the other thing that will kill little lion cubs are marauding males. I don't think there are many of those around here. And this is generally how it goes when they get up. They get up and you think, oh, here we go, and then sit down again and have another just 20 minutes or so of sleep, and then get up and then move around, and then have a little sleep.
Sorry, I'm having trouble with the connection.
My phone is talking to me. I'm sorry, everybody. Every so often it gets a bee in its bonnet and decides to have a conversation with me. That was Siri. Sorry, can we have that again from Bev, please? Oh, Bev, you want to know, will the lioness go hunting while I'm here? Yes, absolutely she would. She's not even reacting to us at all. She's not looking towards us, she's looking away and around. We're like one of these rocks, and so she'd go off hunting, the cubs would go into their rock. They're not remaining here in order to protect the cubs. They don't see us as a threat or as something to eat, both of which are quite satisfying situations to find yourself in. I wouldn't really like it if a lioness like that saw me as something to eat. Right, as you were, Fergus. Put on the infrared. Here we go, everybody. There we are. Now, I don't know if we've done it yet in the final control, but the picture for me is green, and it's a rather sickly green. So what we do is we pull the saturation out of it, and so you see a black and white image, which is a much more attractive image than the one that we're looking at now. I'm not sure why infrared translates as a green to the cameras. Do you know, Fergus?
Movies, I think for some reason in all sort of war movies, the special forces had green infrared.
And is that why it's green? You mean it's an effect?
It's an effect, yeah.
Oh, it's actually an effect that the camera puts on, apparently. Says Fergus. What a silly effect.
It's actually red, you know.
Yes, I would have thought it was red. Fergus says it's red. Anyway, that's why it's black and white for you. Because too much of this green would make you feel nauseous. Now the actual infrared light is not on yet. That's just infrared sort of sucking the last light out of what there is in the ambient. And then this. And then this. No, we've got a loose connection here we'll have to sort out. It was almost so perfectly worked out, Fergus. Now, a very good question from Ray Lee here, wondering how on earth these lionesses manage to get these naughty cubs to stay in one place when they go off hunting. And I mean, this is a question that a lot of people ask. It's not necessarily a very easy one to answer, because no one really knows. When they're this little, I don't think it's that hard. When they're this small, they tend to they just go, you know, as soon as the mothers move too far away from comfort, they give them a little growl or something like that, and then they'll disappear down into the hole that they live in. But when they get a bit bigger, and I don't know if any of you were on the hunt with us yesterday evening with the sausage tree pride, it becomes a lot more difficult for them to make the cubs stay behind. Sometimes they give them a bit of a growl, sometimes they can get pretty aggressive with them. But once they get to sort of around about, I don't know, say 10 to 12 months old, they become a hazard in a hunt. And they're much more difficult, I think, to discipline into staying behind. But I suspect there's some kind of body language or signal that they give the cubs, and the cubs kind of understand it. Yeah, the lioness is one of them is certainly starting to look a bit restless. Fergus, do we need to fix that thing? Or oops. Oh, here we go. What have we got going on here? This looks quite interesting. Sorry, that's my hat, everyone. I'm just going to duck out the way. There is something that they can see. Ferg, how much is that light going to come on or not? You think we're alright still? James, you're wondering if they'll use these rocks to hunt from and around? Absolutely, they will. They'll use a vehicle sometimes. They'll use whatever cover they can, especially in an area like this. Now, there's a bush directly in front of what we are trying to look at. So I can't see what she can see behind that bush. Two of them are looking now. I'm just going to try, excuse the ruffling and rustling, I'm just going to try and get my spotlight out. We're just going to head back across to Scott while we fix our infrared light, and we'll be back with you shortly.
Welcome back, everyone. And exciting stuff with those lions prowling about. Our spotlight bulb just blew. Don't work no more. So I guess it's a sign that our decision to pack it in a little bit earlier was a good one, because without a spotlight it'll be a little bit tricky to find things. And why don't we just stop here and show you some silhouettes of this beautiful big giraffe who you can see dotted on the horizon over there. Tricky. I'm used to the other camera that we no longer have, sadly. They would have done a great job now, but the little ones we've got are better suited for the day. Craig's just switched over onto the infrared so we can see him a little bit better. Marvelous. Well, off we go. And I hope you guys continue to have a wonderful safari for the last few minutes. We're only a kilometer or so away from what is called the Talek Gate. There are multiple gates that you can enter the reserve from, and we are staying at a beautiful little camp called Old Shaiki, just upstream from the gate, outside of the reserve, but the Talek River is the border from the gate further to the east. So we look out across the Talek River into the reserve, and it's a wonderfully situated camp, lots of big fig trees, quite a different feeling and atmosphere to our camp, which is hugely different, situated up on the escarpment. Both have their perks, I guess, like anything in life. The views from our camp are quite spectacular, as are the little riverine forests and gullies and valleys that flow down from the escarpment into the reserve. A great place for us to explore while we're doing our little runs and exercise. Quite nice to be able to, well, incredibly fortunate to be able to, oh, sorry, should have my lights on, maybe then I would have seen that hole. Like I say though, what was I saying actually? I've forgotten what I was saying before we dipped into that hole. Oh, running through the kind of outskirts or fringes of the reserve is absolutely awesome, because you can bump into elephants or zebra, giraffe, impala, who knows. I haven't bumped into any ellies yet. It's always exciting bumping into ellies whilst exercising. Okay, well, it's been great having you on board. I look forward to being out on safari again with you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll find some cheetah. In the meantime, you're going to be sending back... Oops, I forgot the new rules. There's a there's a new plan when we link across back to Djuma, and I'm getting used to it still. So I was about to scoot you off onto Stef's vehicle, and you're about to go now.
We're about to make our way into the sighting of the Nkuhumas from this morning. Now, for those of you who didn't see this morning, we tracked and found the Nkuhumas, but we couldn't really get a good view of them. And because we were on foot, we made our way out, and Rex and the rest of the Djuma guides came and had a look, and they moved into this area after we left them, and now we're coming to end the show basically with them. And judging from the tracks from this morning, I'm expecting to see very young lions here. I can't wait. Lion cubs are super awesome. We're just going to make our way slowly, and I can already see some lions just next to us off on our right hand side. Get into a position where we can see all the lions that we want. Just slowly making our way in. Hello everybody. Oh yes, we got them. Awesome. Have a look there. Brand spanking new lion cubs. How epic is that? I couldn't believe how small their tracks were this morning, and when we had found them, we were very nervous that the mother would come out of the bushes at us, but she seemed not to notice us. And now we get to see and show you the owners of the footprints that we showed you this morning. Excuse my voice coming through a little bit muffled there. It's me just getting excited and not realizing where my microphone was. Now look at them playing. They've got a tail in the mouth. Oh, cute. Now those lion cubs are about as big as teddy bears at the moment. They are tiny. They soccer ball size. Couple of weeks old, just been introduced to the Pride, so anywhere from about 6 to about 10 weeks old. That's how old these guys are. I'm not actually sure if we've seen them before on the show. Senzo's telling me we have seen them before, so they're probably a little bit older than that. definitely haven't seen them. And the lovely thing about seeing a couple of months, went from a pride takeover where their cubs were killed to this lioness is quite badly injured. Wow. Holy smokes. Senzo, just go onto this lioness here with a damaged hip. Have we seen this before? Have a look at that massive injury. Oh, that can only be a goring from something. Wow. Senzo, have we seen this lioness's injury before?
Yes.
Ah, so she's got an injury, okay. Senzo also update. Excuse me, I'm a bit out of touch with everything at the moment. Now what are you going to do? Hopefully the wind is not going straight towards us. This is the time of year when lions have it relatively easy. Just going for a potty break. Hopefully the wind is not blowing towards us. They're looking a bit skinny, these females, I must be honest with you. They're not in their best health, but you know, it's a very difficult thing to produce milk for cubs. It's expensive from a metabolic point of view. I think what's happening is these lions they're not too bad. Lean, they could do with a meal for sure. And it's lovely to see. These females have had it hard. I mean, since we started, I must be honest with you that this pride has taken a bashing. And it is actually quite nice to see. Yeah. I'm glad everyone's saying that you're all excited to see the Nkuhuma Pride. She's blind in that eye as well. Wow, these girls have taken a hammering. Blind in the eye. One with a gash on the leg. Now, Valerie, you're wondering if this lioness with a massive gash on her leg will survive. Rule with lions is you stick with the pride, you'll get fed for an adult lion. And that is what will happen. So if she manages to stick with the pride and she doesn't fall behind to a point where she's unable to get any food, then she will be looked after. She'll be welcome at kills. And I think she doesn't look too bad just yet. Believe me when I say that lions can, when they are injured and they're bad, a skinny lioness is bad. Now, I'm told that up to 2 weeks ago you've been seeing her, and that she's been moving with the pride since then. And she's keeping it clean, she's licking it clean. It doesn't look like her hip or anything's wrong with her hip. Wow, it looks bad, that, but you know, she's okay. She's with the pride. That's all that matters. So to be honest with you, although it looks bad, lions can get much worse, and it's not too bad. Oh, big yawn. The unfortunate would be that she's obviously not capable of hunting, and so wouldn't be able to add her strength to the rest of the pride to hunt, and so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Let's see what she does when she stands up. Let's see how she's walking. Big stretch. Lions that are sick and very injured stay hidden in bushes. And she is a bit skinnier, but she's not walking with a limp, so her leg is not broken, her hip is not dislocated, and her spine is not injured. So a flesh wound. She's going to have a nice story to tell about what has been going on. She's obviously got a bit of infection. I can see lymph nodes in her belly are a bit swollen. She looks a little bit. Michelle, thank you for the update. You're saying that the injury looks a bit better. It seems to have dried out a bit. Senzo, just sit still. That is an unbelievable gash. That is amazing. Louise is telling me that it looks so much better as well, but that is a chunk of flesh. It almost looks like she's had a piece of herself ripped out there, a pound of flesh. Oh, I don't know what it is about my car that has elicited this bowel voiding movement from everyone. I can tell you, I am very thankful the wind is blowing into my face and not sideways. Okay, so she's walking fine. She's skinny. It looks worse than it is, to be honest with you. I've seen a few lion injuries that are quite obviously where the lions have actually broken bones, and this is not the case. So bad, but superficial, thankfully. And if she can keep herself from too bad a septicemia, it won't be too much of a problem either. Oh, there's another one of those little teddy bear cubs. Isn't that very cute? Oh, they are epic at this age, aren't they? This is the time of night when these ladies will start to hunt, and they are hungry. I think testimony to the fact that we found the young males on the termite mound yesterday. I think it is absolutely the fact that these lioness are not starving, but they're needing to cover some distance to kill something, and with no buffalo around, opportunity to hunt what they need to hunt. So what are they going to hunt? They hunt zebra, wildebeest, kudu, young giraffe, buffalo, and they are around. Look at those lioness, strengthening the bonds that tie them together, the strongest bonds of all between sisters and mothers and cubs, rubbing their faces together as passing the scent of the family around them. Now, it is a bit dark because the sun has gone down, and we're not using any artificial light just yet. What we will do is switch on infrared light in a little bit. There we go. As infrared, isn't that just amazing? So with no artificial light and a light that these animals cannot see, we're able to increase your viewing pleasure. All of them awake now, lying together and licking each other clean. It's called allo grooming. And these little cubs also just playing with each other. Their teeth buds are itchy, hence the stick chewing. And it also helps to develop those very strong jaw muscles that will one day be able to clamp the airway shut of a large prey item, dispatching it quickly and quietly. Now, I must say, I agree with all of you out there that say I hope they make a kill soon, and I hope that that injured lioness gets some food and is able to repair herself. I mean, if she's been walking around for 2 weeks with that injury and she's okay, she should be fine. It is going to take a bit of time to heal, and I think it's going to leave a nasty scar. Cantrell, you would like to know if the injured one would stay behind with the cubs while the others hunt. Cantrell, there's a good chance that she does that. It's not impossible for that to happen. There's also a good chance that her hunger will drive her on to be with her sisters. She might trail her sisters, not taking part of the hunt, but walking with. And that would be in an effort to make sure that when something does go down, she's got herself in a prime position. You can imagine with a bunch of hungry males like these 14 babies around, not much sticks around after they make a kill. And with no buffalo around at the moment, limited to things like kudu, wildebeest, odd bushbuck and impala. And that is not going to go far with all these mouths to feed. That is for sure. They're in a prime hunting position though. Djuma Dam is not too far away, and this is a very good place for them. Dina, you'd like to know if other lionesses will help to groom and clean her wound? Yes, they absolutely will do. She'll take the lion's share of cleaning, but they will come and groom her and keep the worst of the flower maggots and larvae and dead tissue away. She might get have a bit of an angry response to her, or to help, but she's in a good space. She's with her sisters and her cousins and her mom, potentially, if her mom's still alive and in this pride, and they all look after one another. And then all these cubs just can't help but lick one another. It is the absolute difference to the leopard we were viewing a little bit earlier. These are highly social contact species. Belrez, you'd like to know if the fur will grow back once the wound is healed. It all depends on what actual damage was there. Now, that to me looks bad enough that I don't think so. I think she's going to have a dark puckered scar there, and I think that it's going to take some time to knit. There's no flesh available to overlap, and I think what we're going to see is a puckered, weeping, bleeding sore for a few months to come, possibly even as long as a year before this is fully healed. And it might never close. She might keep it open for a long time. It's going to be interesting to see how she makes her recovery. I doubt that she will die, but septicemia, now, Proud Cat Mama, you want to know how rough a lion's tongue is. Is it rough like a domestic cat? Is it toothed? Yes, a lion's tongue is very rough. They have enameled teeth on their tongue, and they are, it's not like a tooth with a nerve, for instance. It's a little projection, but it is quite capable of stripping the skin off of your hand. If you have a look carefully on that lion, you might even be able to see the white projections on the tongue. And so she's able to scrape off dead tissue, and that is obviously where the septicemia will arise from. Oh, another big yawn there. No, not quite. This is a good place for them to be in. They're about half a mile away from Galago Pan. Very thick section of bush, and they've made many kills in here. Lots of kudu, lots of buffalo. You can see the lionesses are now listening. And Galago Pan and Djuma Dam, holding some water, draw cards for animals all around. And the thick bush offering some protection. And let's hold thumbs that this area delivers for them in the next couple of hours. I think these lions are going to get hunting quite soon. I think that these cubs will stick around. Let's just see. Where they're deciding to walk now, there's virtually no way we can get a car through there without a helicopter blade. Let's just see what happens. You see the ticks on the neck? That is a sign of diminishing condition. When they start to get those big ticks on the side there, it means they're not spending as much time grooming each other as they should. And a tick-infested neck is a sure sign of lions that are battling a little bit. It's not uncommon though, so nobody panic. 14 mouths to feed between 4.5 lioness is a difficult task. It's not easy, especially not in the Sabi sands. Now, just look at that. Now, from one set of lion cubs, why don't we send you all the way up to the Mara in Kenya, where James has some lion cubs of his own.
Yes, we do. Unfortunately, we had to disappear from them quickly to try and fix the light, which we've managed to do. But 2 lionesses have moved off. I don't know where they've gone. I can just sort of hear the other cubs. I now can't see anything with my naked eye. Is that cub gone off to the left there, Ferg? Or to the right? Oh, okay. I'm going to just shift slightly forward. If we do get a slight black screen, just stay with us, because we'll come back, I'm pretty sure, almost immediately. How's that? I'm just listening carefully, and I don't know where those 2 lionesses have gone, if they've gone hunting, or what's going on here. It's the danger of leaving them for more than 5 minutes, of course. They can disappear. I think the other cubs have gone into the rocks there. Debbie, you're wondering about the coalition that fathered these cubs and how many lions there are in that coalition. I don't actually know. I think, if I'm not mistaken, there are 2, the black rock males. And I think there are just 2 males in that coalition, one of them quite badly damaged and old, and the other I'm not sure about. But you know, we're so far east here that we have not spent a huge amount of time in this part of the world. We will do more and more now that the migration has disappeared, and as we discover the wonders of this particular area. But I'm not actually sure about the black rock males, I'm afraid. Apparently he does come around here, the old boy with the missing eye and the sort of scuffed mane. By all accounts, nowhere near the Ryan Gosling of the lion world. Oh, now, proud cat mama, you're wondering about what happens if the cubs come close to the vehicle. What will the lioness do? Will she scold them? No, most likely she'll get cross with us. And that's something that we need to be always constantly careful of, especially if you're on foot. Now, of course, Stef was tracking those lions that he's now found again in the vehicle on foot today. And your danger is, if the cubs approach you, the lioness will take offense at you. And that can be, because the cubs can be extremely inquisitive, and they can walk up out of their hidey hole and come towards you, and then you need to extract very fast. Because what you don't want is a little thing like that approaching you on foot, because mum will immediately assume that you are to blame, that you're putting lollipops out or something in order to entice them, and she will come roaring out. And they say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. Well, I got to tell you, hell hath no fury like a lioness. Just trying to listen to see if I can hear the other lionesses. Is that other cub still there, Ferg? Or gone inside the hidey hole? I think they've... yeah, it's gone inside, hasn't it? We might have to do a little loop around. I mean, we might mate with them for a little while. Maybe till the end of the show, and then we'll see if we can't find the other lions and see if they aren't on the hunt. This little thing looks like it's thinking about having a stalk. It's looking towards where the others went. I can hear one calling now. Other cubs calling. Yes, moving off. Maybe the lioness has got up onto the rock there and went behind, perhaps. Folks, shall I sneak slightly forward or wait here? What do you think? Let's go slightly forward, everyone. If you do go a little bit black screen, don't worry, it'll come back as soon as I stop moving. There they go. Now exactly back round to where the other lionesses were. They're probably in exactly the same place. I think this lioness just moved away from them. Look how naughty. Getting so cross. Alright, I'm not sure. I think we're going across to Djuma now. I'm not sure how long we have to go until we get across there. But Stef's going to do you a last segment with the Nkuhuma Pride. And hopefully they too will be able to feed their little cubs. It's much easier for them, of course, because they've got cubs of such different ages. Oh no, don't bite the head. That's a little bit rough. Alright, we'll see you in a little while.
Right everyone, we have left the sighting of those Nkuhumas and it's getting a little bit dark. I think the adults were wanting to make a move off to go and hunt, and they need all the help that they can get. They don't need a big stinky car around and us talking around to make life even more difficult for them. So we've made our way out, as did Andrew, and we've now closed that particular sighting for the rest of the evening until tomorrow. So no one else will be going through there at all, and this whole area will be left alone and for their own hunting pleasure. And I'm hoping they get some. There were some tracks of wildebeest on quarantine this morning, and I'm hoping that they'll listen and hear what's going on. There's also the good chance of some buffalo coming to Djuma Dam tonight. So for those who have access to the dam cam, keep your eyes open. I think you're going to be spoiled by some lions coming down to drink and little bundles of fur following them. I don't really have a plan for the rest of this evening. I think we'll see if we can find something by spotlight in the few minutes left. What we can possibly do is find a bush baby for you, which is a good idea. So let me get my spotlight out, see if I can find it. There we go. And see if I can find a bush baby for you, or something else interesting. I'd prefer to show you a golden brown baboon spider, but a bush baby would do. It's been a pretty cracker of a drive. I must be awesome. I must be honest with you. It's been jam-packed with a bunch of stuff. There was a stage there I didn't know what to look at between the leopard, the lion, the leopard, the elephant, and the monitor lizards. There was a lot on offer, and then I heard Amara was dishing out lion and cheetah and zebra kills. There's a scrub hare. Nocturnal scrub hare. So far that's the life we're seeing. And while we're looking for our golden brown baboon spider, why don't we go and chat? Well, why don't you go and have a chat to Brent about cheetah cubs?
Well, welcome back everyone. So we're on our last night of our low light camera. You can see that giraffe disappearing into the distance. Now, very, very exciting. And I know the visuals of those cheetah cubs were not the greatest, but what it does mean for us is right on our doorstep, right next to home, is we've got a female cheetah and at least 2 cubs. There might be 1 or 2 more. And she is going to be there every day, up and down along the escarpment. So we're going to have lots of access, and this is very exciting. We can sort of compare it to being able to, there's a car just come past, and that's all the dust you're seeing, compared to when we found Hosana and Shongile right on our doorstep. It means we're going to have these cubs, hopefully, for the foreseeable future, and hopefully that mom keeps them really, really safe from all the potential horrors that live in the Mara if you're a cheetah. Now, of course, I cannot wait to grow up with the cheetah cubs while we're in the Mara, like we did with Hosana and Shongile. So this is a very, very exciting time for us here in the Mara to be able to spend our time with those cheetah cubs. And hopefully she has chosen good den sites and she'll be able to raise them to maturity. So I'm not sure which female it is yet. I have sent the photos through, and hopefully we will get some ID on that cheetah very, very soon. Oh, well, the giraffe is going to disappear into the forest. In the morning, first thing, we'll be back in that area, try get a positive ID on the female, and or maybe we'll get a slightly better glimpse of those cubs in tomorrow morning's early golden light. Now, the Mare is turning out to be a most spectacular part of the world for little cubs. So, without further ado, let's send you back to James and the Black Rock babies.
Here they are, many of them, and I must just say, before we enjoy the sighting in its entirety, I must confess, I think that the cheetah mother of the two cubs that you've been looking at today is the same female we saw yesterday. I would find it highly unlikely if it wasn't. And I told you that I didn't think that she would have cubs because, I thought she'd go back to them after she'd eaten. And clearly I was talking absolute garbage, and I do apologize for that. I couldn't see any suckle marks, but I'm pretty sure that must be the same female, so I apologize. I didn't lie on purpose, I promise. Lionesses keep looking like they're going to get up and go and do something. One of them's wandered off. There she is. She just wants to be away from the cubs. And then they get up and then they kind of get down on the ground, and the cubs are awake again after their very brief little nap that they had earlier. And they're, of course, completely oblivious to the light that we're shining on them. And of course, unlike the Sabi sand, no one can close the sighting to us. So we have a ranger with us, whose name is John, and John's sitting with us. And so we basically can view them for as long as we'd like to, which is fantastic. Such lovely noises. Snazzy, you're wondering, I'm just going to listen for quickly. Such lovely noises. Snazzy, you're wondering why a lion would phlegm and grimace after licking one of the cubs. Well, it's, I suspect, because she's picked up a hormone, and it happened exactly after she sort of cleaned up the back end of one of the cubs, and obviously there are hormones in that region, and pheromones, and so she would have interpreted those hormones and pheromones using her organ of Jacobson, and I think it was probably just triggered by, the kind of influx of hormones into the mouth, basically. But it's an interesting one, because clearly there are hormones being produced by the male and female cubs by their genitalia, which is never a word you want to say too often, is it, Fergus? Anyway, we've got very little time left with them. We're probably going to stay with them for the next little while. We're obviously about to end the show now, and so if you'd like to catch up with us or keep watching, we'll probably sit with them until the cubs go away, and then we'll make a decision. But you'll find us on Facebook, of course, and on Periscope. Are we going to Periscope ever? I'm not sure. On whatever social media platform you are subscribed to us on, you can watch us there if the action happens. All that remains for me now is to say thank you very much for joining us. Big thank you to Fergus. Well done, Fergus. Good job. And to all of you for your questions and comments. We will see you tomorrow morning, Central African time, 05:30, I think. Bye-bye.